Good evening and welcome to the program. What a week it has been. On Sunday, a peace walk by the NDC degenerated into a violent clash between them and the MPP, which resulted in injuries and arrests. The action has been condemned by both parties, but is this a foretaste of what is to come on December 7? On Wednesday, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta painted a picture of the new dawn of steady growth after the economic nightmare of COVID-19. But the minority is concerned that with workers' salaries and debt servicing for 3 months in 2021 requiring 143% of taxes to be collected in the period, this is a whitewashed forecast of a bleak future. Tonight on Joint Caucus, we lay the facts bare about the state of the economy, and our objective for the program is to help you decide which party can be trusted to run the economy and ensure security. My name is Daniel Daze. Welcome to the program. Welcome once again to the program. Thanks for joining us. Representing the NDC, or the Minority Caucus as we know them, is a member of the communications team for the National Party, Elekem Kotoko. Elekem, good evening. Great to have you here.
Good evening, my brother. It's a pleasure.
Great. We will soon be joined by Frank Asare of the NPP, who represents the majority side. Of course, we've been told that he is on his way. When he comes, he will join the discussion. Elekem, first of all, we are going to go into the economy and the security.
Okay.
Let's begin with security, because that's where
Yep.
the week really began. Very worrying news in that peace walk by the NDC.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and good evening to our viewers. Before I touch on that, I would want to extend my condolence or commiserations to families or relatives of those who we were told were victims of some armed robbery today, which is even equally very linked in Alaba and Kumasi, where I'm told 2 people lost their lives. You see, it goes further to strengthen the fact that the heightened state of insecurity in this country is getting very worrying. If you recall, I think about a week ago, I was on a program with you and we were talking about similar situation. It is getting worrying, and we must begin to call a spade by its name. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has failed woefully to address the issue of security. And you do not have to be in the NDC to say this. You just need to be a Ghanaian or even a living being in this country to say so. Not only is it a deterrent to many, but even to the foreign investor who feels that if I have to come and make an investment in this country and people get killed like chicken, or violence is everywhere now and then, it doesn't speak well for us. You would admit that this was not the country, this was not the economy, this was not the state of Ghana that was handed over to the MPP administration. And if you would give me the latitude of time to read just a page of their own manifesto for you, I can do that. In order to give us an idea of what they said. You see, making lofty promises and saying all manner of things just for the convenience of its sake, it's one thing. Delivering is another. It is why the Nigerians have what they call Mr. Tokonodu. That is like you just talk, but you do not do. That is the situation we find
if I'm to get the drift of your argument, it is that this is about a bigger conversation about insecurity of the country.
It really is.
And the failure of government.
It really is.
It is interesting because the MPP would have you separate the issues, and Nilante Banaman addressed the news conference. He is the parliamentary candidate for the MPP in Odododio. He actually laid the blame at the doorstep of the Member of Parliament, the NDC's Nilante Vanderpoel. Let's take a listen to him.
Okay.
And when we come back, we'll deal with it further.
Okay. All right.
Every day we pass there. In the morning around that time, you will not see more than 5 NPP people in that particular base. So where did almost about 25, 30 people come from that particular day? It means that they were planned. They are planned to meet there. 2, where did they gather all?
We are, however, not the least surprised by these acts of violence, considering the fact that in 2016, after a successful campaign launch at the famous Bukom Square, this same MP led thugs to go on a vandalization spree in the constituency. On the back of yet another successful walk in honor of the memory of our youth organizer, the late William Waters Rasbustego. On Saturday, the MP and his boys came running riot again without any provocation. It therefore goes without saying that these happenings in the constituency are explicitly orchestrated by the incumbent MP, whose persona and character depicts violence. This was the same person who, as the NDC parliamentary candidate in 2004, was cited for electoral fraud and violence and was injuncted from contesting that year's elections. The constituency from then on experienced peaceful electioneering campaigns and elections until he resurfaced in 2012 to contest the NDC primaries, which again was characterized by violence he masterminded. The lead up to that year's election and the events before, during and after the 2016 elections is still fresh on the minds of people. Madam Esla Akufo, Abu Jinapo, the late Jacob Echebilamte, and my good self have been victims of his thuggery. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, yesterday's violent and unprovoked attacks goes to confirm that the MP has not departed from his violent ways. I hereby call on the police to, as a matter of urgency, arrest these NDC thugs and let the law take its due course to serve as a deterrent to their likes. Failing which, our people will be left with no other option than to defend ourselves. For now, I can only urge my people to remain calm, even in the face of these extreme provocations.
And so that was Nilante Bannerman. He's parliamentary candidate for the NPP in that constituency, Ododo Diodio. And Elikem, as much as you would have us believe that this is a matter of insecurity generally, Mr. Bannerman believes it is a Nilante Vanderpoy issue specific.
My brother, I think you, the media, should not be giving oxygen to this kind of utterances. Very reckless. The fact that I can afford to script something and sit around a table and invite the media house does not mean that he has said so many things, but he has contributed absolutely nothing. He's a shallow person. That is what he has just demonstrated.
I think it would be fair for you to stay away from the person of Mr. Bannerman.
Yes, no. You see, he went further
by addressing him as a. Yes, that's an unfair statement.
He went very far to try to drop everything at the doorstep of our parliamentary candidate, which is unfounded because he has no shred of evidence, but rather just making aspersions. That's why I said he has said so many things but contributed absolutely nothing to the substance of the matter. This is someone who wants to be a parliamentary candidate, and he does not know that if he has any information that is relevant, the appropriate Caucus to go to is to the police. But he rather sits in front of camera and say that, hey, therefore I am instructing or I'm telling the police to go after the NDC. What evidence has he got? Was he even there? I mean, so those who wrote the script...
he was at that march.
Those who wrote the script...
I'm just saying he was at that march.
No, well, fine. Let's assume he was there. But those who wrote the script for him did him a disservice. They have shot him in the foot for his ambition. You see, we in the NDC haven't got the time to want to see this country go into chaos. And we are not people who would want to see violence visited on people, others, because we are all citizens. And so if you would want to hold such a presser just to want to throw dust into our eyes, ask yourself in the first place, he is an interested party in that constituency. So will it take him to come and say something for you, the media, to even believe? No. I believe when I was coming, I was even listening to one of your events, interviewing someone in relation to the Alaba incident. I expect that you would rather go there, find out for yourselves, reach out to the police and find out what is happening. But not an interested party who feels that anything that happens, I should skew it in my favor and gain 3 political points out of it.
What we do on this platform is that we give air to both sides of the issue.
Exactly.
And that is why we have Nilante Vanderpoy's sound that will also be playing.
Yeah.
The key is he draws a line in Mr. Van der Poel's political history. He says that there was violence in 2004, there was violence in 2012, and there is violence now.
Very unsubstantiated and not worth my response, because I can easily say that, hey, Daniel, you were very violent. I recall in 2004 you were very violent. What evidence have I got to adduce to that?
Do you remember that in 2012,
yes,
Madam Esdousu was assaulted in Ododododo?
I mean, if it was assaulted, what was the direct correlation between the two in the first place? I mean, should I start telling you that our president himself is very vindictive, arrogant, violent, and all that? Would you permit that on your platform? Because President Nana-Addo, then candidate, even made mention of the fact that he said all die be die. He went to London and even told Ghanaians there that let's go back to Ghana and increase the tempo. He said all manner of very despicable things. And he is president today. Now, under his regime and his watch, there's heightened insecurity. We expect him to do much, but these are the people in government, and they are the ones even complaining more than you and I, who are the ones expected to be complaining.
What I will do at this point is that we would listen to Mr. Van der Poel and follow that quickly with what President Akufo-Addo has had to say about the issue, because he addressed the gathering of chiefs, they're actually a gathering of the Regional House of Chiefs in Jamestown, which is at the Ododododo constituency. Let's listen to Nilante Van der Poel and President Akufo-Addo.
Every day we pass there, in the morning around that time, you will not see more than 5 NP people in that particular base. So where did almost about 25, 30 people come from that particular day? It means that they were planned. They are planned to meet there. 2, where did they gather all these bottles from? All of a sudden, and started pelting us with it. So when they pelted our people, then people also decide to respond, because when they throw the bottles at them, some don't break, and then they try and throw back. Then what we saw was that this guy, Nyokai Amas, we've mentioned this guy's name several times. He was involved in the shooting during the registration exercise. Nothing was done. He was involved with the, what do you call it? Kaswa Ofanko Meda. Nothing was done. This guy was involved in the group that assaulted me in front of the Jamestown police station. Nothing was done.
But the investigations are underway, especially.
Well, how long will it take the police to investigate? How long will it take the police to? Did they even arrest him to question him? No. And then this boy pulled a gun and started firing, and the police were there, and he shot at 3 people, and then the rest started using machetes on the people. Apart from that, they peeled off concrete slabs like this, pavement blocks, hit people, old ladies, old men. Lucky enough, our boys became courageous and decided to fight back. And then they ran away. They ran away and left their shed at the mercy of the people. And then they go and organize a press conference and blame me, who had my family and everybody in the work.
But that's not the reports they gave us. They tell us that the pelting was started by your supporters.
Those who were walking.
Aboboya vehicle.
It's not true. It's not true. The Aboboya guy was the announcer. This guy happened to be an MPP member in 2016. He was their public announcer in 2016. And like Maradona, we poached him. And he's become our announcer now. This is not the first time they've attacked him. They've attacked him several times. They spoiled his machine. We bought the machine for him because he's good, he's coherent, he's proficient. So Sammy was even standing on top of the vehicle and dancing when he got there. I can give you all the videos. Then all of a sudden, they started pelting. So the man who was standing on top of the DC and dancing was the one who had this. At Aboboya with speakers. Where would the bottles be?
You said you had bottles in there.
In Aboboya with speakers. With speakers, big speakers, and doing announcement. That's where the bottles were. The world will see them. Because we have a government who have done nothing into this country. They've are so disgraceful in government, and they think that it is only violence, intimidation, brutalities that they can use to suppress the anger of the people and still maintain themselves in power. They are lying bad.
Could it not be that
Ghanaians will vote them out on the 7th of December?
Could it not be that your supporters did this because you saw the crowd that came out from the NPP side? You did not have that crowd, like we are told. That's the reason
they did not have even a quarter of our crowd. Saturday we saw them. We saw them. They did not have a quarter of our crowd. Look, MF, I'm saying that we have restrained ourselves and we'll continue to restrain ourselves because we want to use the term to throw out Nana Akufo-Addo. We will not perpetuate violence. We will not retaliate for this disgraceful act. Because you know something, even he, the MP candidate. His house, when we got to his house, people came out of the house dancing.
We want peace in Accra. Shikia wafo. Bahamu femo gbele acho edwemomi. Je no kona no ye.
The election is about expressing your views and making a choice. There's no need to fight. Only those who have nothing to offer foment trouble. If you have a good message, you sell it, rather than being violent. I'm pleading with you. We want peace during the elections. The world is watching us, and we have to behave properly.
Basa was more basa here. No, I face the 7th of December. Ghana, Africa fair, World Fair in Kwawo. It's an Amenakesi, what you over here. Ne, Waba fair, no Miliakesi, Ghana be a Mebibio come here. Now, may you beg papa, and I'm a John, Nekema Jenny and I. To join the family of me. They for who I can mene one I can gafe boashi ni gantajame sempe manche akumaje manche.
I'm here to finish my campaign at home, the Greater Accra region. I don't want to sit in the office all the time. Thank you for receiving me. I'm happy to see all the chiefs also gathered here. It is beautiful. As you know, I was born here at Swalaba and started life at Koliwoko. This is Bukum. We saw all the great boxers train here, so this is my home.
Boko mi woyo no mi wa gbege bi ase wo ba surprise so a je many obi e o ba ko Vincent Okanme atoko e cloth me fe na no e bi e na train ye bi e na fe no bi e na ele maka kesi kemba bi e mbasia.
That was President Akufo-Addo. Before him, we saw Nilante Vanderpoel, who is Member of Parliament for the area, on the ticket of the NDC. I'll read for you a few of your messages that have come through on our WhatsApp console. Zacchaeus in Waliwali says, good evening. It's unfortunate to see this happening in a country that has a defense minister, interior minister, national security minister, and inspector general of police. What are they doing? And what is the president himself saying about it? I believe you sent this in before we played the president's inset. You're live on Joint Caucus. We are here with Elikem Kotoko. Frank Asari joins us immediately after this. Stay with us. And you're live on Joint Caucus here on JoyNews. My name is Daniel Daze. We're here in studio with Elikem Kotoko. He's a member of the NDC's communications team, and Frank Selom Asari has joined us. He's a member of the MPP's communications team. Frank, great to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we were talking about security. Elikem would have us believe that what happened at Ododo is symptomatic of the greater security malaise we have in the country, which is a failure of your government.
Well, I think that is a wrong conclusion or wrong premise anyone can draw from what happened at Ododo. You attest to the fact that even before they went back on the work, the new patriotic party in the constituency also went back on similar work, and it was very peaceful. It tells you that something is not right from the onset during the organization of the NDC's work in the constituency. Even after their work, the next day there was a walk in Nima, side by side, NDC side by side with the new patriotic party, using the other side of the lane. Then they were using the other side, and there was no any surety during the similar work. So the question we should be asking is that what happened different in Ododo? In Ododo, the NDC have a similar agenda to foment troubles. They attack the new patriotic party parliamentary candidate private residence. They also attack the NPP's, how do you call it, constituency office. And in Odo, the tensions are always high. You saw the release from the Ghana Police Service trying to identify some hotspots in the constituency. Odo don't have about 400 hotspots in the constituency. It tells us that things may not turn out to be normal. So both parties must try as much as possible and use, let me say, try as much as possible and make sure that we...
But we just listened to Neil Vanderpoel, who says that this is not true. He says that nobody attacked the MPP's
that is Neil Vanderpoel speaking to you out there, who is, I would say, the leader of the National Democratic Congress in the constituency. Yeah. Basically, we have to paint the gloomy picture that the NDC is not doing anything at all in the constituency to foment troubles, and that it's all about NPP. And that's what he'll be doing out there. It's also incumbent for you and I, especially your media house, to also go into this matter and see where exactly this trouble were coming from.
You know what?
If you do that, you arrive at the conclusion that it is a fact that they attacked the New Patriotic Party constituency, also attacked the PC's private residence.
Well, that is a fact that only the police can establish.
Yes,
and so we will await the police investigation on this.
The police people on duty. You
will await the police investigation on this to establish the
but without the police investigation, you have invited us to talk about this matter. And these are the facts that
the comments that you have forwarded are sufficient to the conversation that we had so far. So we'll move on. Elikem, we need to move on to the economy.
In the first place,
I'll give you 30 seconds on this.
30 seconds will be too small. I think a minute will do. But then, you see,
it has to be 30.
In the first place, let it not be forgotten that this government has emboldened thuggery, has emboldened people engaged in this manner of hoodlums, or engaged in this. You recall how they assaulted a judge in Kumasi, went to free other people. You recall how some guys from the seat of government assaulted ASP, is it Nanka Bruce also? I've forgotten the name. Till then, we do not know those who did all of that. Does it make logic? Does it make sense to you and I? That a peaceful demonstrating, health walking people will reach a point where they will see their opponents and decide to attack them. And attack them also, and the attack starts from behind. We saw videos in which they were the ones pelting those things.
The police is investigating it.
Yes,
and I'm coming in because we both have versions of the story.
Yes, good.
It's so I won't that you would advance that.
But you see,
and you have made the point.
So what matters most, I want to just draw attention to is that we saw a video of one gentleman there wielding a pistol and firing. That gentleman should be arrested immediately. In fact, he is very lucky. I was not a police officer, or I'm not a police officer, and I was not there. Because if I was there, the rules of engagement expect me to shoot him down immediately. Because he posed a threat to everybody. That's what the arrow is showing. He posed a threat to every single living being over there. And who is that gentleman? Up to now, the police have not found him. Then the police is trying not to work well because they must be very professional.
Made 2 arrests, and so we need
it is not enough. It is not enough. Let's be very.
It's Daniel, fair if you feel Daniel, it's not enough. But
the gentleman is well. You see how the guys around him are even moving away. He could make just one single mistake and fire someone else.
But this is a New Patriotic Party office out there, right?
Yes, that is a New Patriotic Party.
What will NDC guy be doing there at the time when this is our...
The guys are walking over there. They are walking over there. Did you see them climbing there?
Shooting in the air is not shooting anyone.
Gentlemen, if I can have some discussion in the studio. This is JoyNews.
So he goes there always with a weapon?
I will end this part of the discussion by going straight to ASP Afia Tenge, who speaks for the police in Accra. And after she speaks, then we move on to the economy. Let's listen to ASP Tenge.
Yes, regarding what happened in Odo constituency, that was last Sunday, the Jamestown police have been able to identify and arrest 2 persons whom we suspect had incited violence or they were part of the rioting that took place on Sunday. Earlier, I had mentioned that some names have been picked up and that the police was working thoroughly on those names. And so these 2 persons were arrested just this afternoon. There's even one that we have still contacted that he says he'll be joining or he'll be coming. So we are exploiting all other avenues to ensure that persons whose names have appeared on our records of having caused the disturbances at the Odo constituency would be arrested for due cause to follow.
And so far, have both parties, the presidential and parliamentary candidates, been invited to make sure they speak to their people so peace will prevail?
Yes, right after the incident, the division had to invite both of them for a meeting. First of all, to find out what has gone wrong, what really happened. because all we know is a disturbance. So we really needed to know what really occasioned that disturbance. And they had assured us that they'll be coming. One of them was engaged, and that he promised to come, but he was asking that if we could reschedule the time to make him available on that meeting. So we are expecting to meet all of them. It is also part of our processes as well.
So my understanding is that so far the NDC parliamentary candidate, Nina Zebanda, has reported. Yesterday he told us he was reporting to the headquarters, but the NPP parliamentary candidate has not.
Oh, I am not aware. In fact, according to what the commander says, in fact, he made a very reasonable excuse of why he couldn't come. And I think that was reasonable. I think it's not for me to announce that here. But he has given us that assurance that we should reschedule. He didn't tell us he's not coming. All he said was because of 1, 2, 3, we should just reschedule the time to make it convenient for him to also come. So we expect that we meet the two of them, not just one person to be met before later we meet another person. So there's an arrangement in that way.
That was ASP Efiating speaking on Tuesday. DSP, pardon me, Efiating speaking on Tuesday. And so that's when the arrests were made. I'll take a few of your messages and then we move to other parts of the program. VV from Amasaman says, I'm hearing the president addressing a group of people that he wants peace. Can we please let the president know that it is his duty to provide it? Nana Kwame in Cape Coast says, the NDC knows very well they will lose this election, so they want to do everything possible to paint Nana Do black, but it will not work. Hashtag 4 more for Nana. Ask the NDC man if it wasn't a planned thing by their party members, how come some of them were having guns and they were shooting? NDC stop sabotaging Nana Do because he has demonstrated he's a man of peace. Mugabe from Zebila in Nkwanta. Right. A number of your messages coming in. Keep them coming to the number at the bottom of your screen. Let's continue into the economy, which is a big part of tonight's conversation. Ken Ofori-Atta addressed Parliament on Wednesday, presented the government economic record and a plan for the first 3 months of 2021. Let's catch some tidbits of that and then we come back to studio.
Speaker, for the purposes of the 2021 expenditure in advance of appropriation, we projected the 2021 first quarter total revenue and grants of 13.3 billion, while total expenditures, including the clearance of arrears, is projected at 24 billion. The results in the projected fiscal deficit of 10.7 billion for the period. Mr. Speaker, to support the 2021 budget and liability management, we plan to source funding from the international capital markets. This will comprise the issuance of sovereign bonds of US $3 billion with the option to increase it to $5 billion should market conditions prove favorable. Out of the amount to be raised, 1.5 billion will be used to support the 2021 budget and 3.5 billion for liability management. Mr. Speaker, we will require an amount of 27.4 billion to carry on the services of government until the expiration of 3 months from the beginning of the 2021 financial year. The total amount is to cover government operations such as compensation of employees, ex gratia awards, interest and amortization, transfer to statutory funds, critical programs and goods and services, and capex allocations of MDA.
Ken Ofori-Atta, the finance minister. I'll begin this one with Frank. Frank, so the key question that has been raised is, look, it's too much borrowing. We are spending close to 10 billion on debt servicing. It's too much borrowing.
Well, I don't know about too much borrowing, but in 2016, you and I know when Mr. John Mahama was confronted with a similar issue, he told us that he's borrowing to grow the economy, but which we have not seen. In 2017, after 2017, our economy was growing about $55 billion economy. Now, our economy under the watch of Nana Akufo-Addo is about $67 billion economy. It does alone tells you that something positive is not happening in our economy. In fact, once your economy is growing, it means sometimes your spending can also go up. But it looks like our brothers from the NDC do not want to embrace the reality that Nana Addo is going a faster economy than they did under their watch for 8 years. President Akufo, before he inherited this country in 2001, the country was so broke to the extent that there was nowhere to run the country for. He has to join the funds program, the HIPIC program. And within 3-4 years, he's able to come out of HIPIC. We gave them economy which was not HIPIC. But you and I compare to the fact that in 2014, the John Mahama's government ran the economy into abyss to the extent that they have to look for policy credibility, and they invited everybody to go to Senti. And then Madam Akufo-Addo and co have to be there to help John Mahama to run the economy until 2017. We know what happened to our economy. Today, they are out
the
there
argument on borrowing is that when you were campaigning, the NPP said repeatedly that we don't need to borrow as much as John Mahama has done.
We don't,
and we've added almost 100% more debt.
We in the NPP do not say anywhere that we are not going to borrow to run the economy. In fact, the economy such as ours cannot be run without borrowing. But when you borrow, you borrow and invest. What kind of investment are we doing today? Today, we are investing so much in human capitals. Tomorrow, about 1.2 million students are enjoying free SHS. These are people who are coming out to turn our economy. These are people who may become the engineers of tomorrow. So that when we have our oil blocks, we will not be manned by foreign engineers. This is a serious investment that a country such as ours should be doing. We are not investing in a confirm that will flow to Burkina Faso, and then that ends it. This is something that any positive leader, any visionary leader should do. You should invest in the people. And the investment in the people, you cannot say it's a wrong investment. Can we?
Okay. Mr. Kotoko.
Daniel, I'm shocked. My brother doesn't understand what he's saying. He's very ignorant of the facts. He's not even aware himself that free SHS is not being supported by borrowing. That is how ignorant a representative of the political party that is in power is. You want to say that you are borrowing to fund free SHS? Where? Which borrowing did you use for free SHS? In the first place, let me again even give you further evidence. At 67% of GDP, Ghana's debt stock has crossed the critical 60% of GDP level that developing countries with limited access to capital flows should worry about in terms of debt sustainability. In fact, Ghana is right back to the debt unsustainability that led to HIPIC. However, HIPIC debt relief will not be available again. Ghana's status can thus best be described as that of a highly indebted lower middle income country. That was Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So my brother is not aware even of what Dr. Bawumia said on the 24th of March 2015 at exactly 5:21 on his Twitter handle. That is how ignorant that the followers even themselves can be. I'm so sorry, but that's just the truth. For you to say that you were even borrowing to fund human capital, which one? Scholarships or schools? Which one? Please, spare your viewers some level of credibility. You are borrowing and you are investing it into consumption. Which capital expenditure have you engaged in so far with all the numerous borrowing? President Mahama borrowed. We left you at 120 billion. Let's say 56 billion was what he borrowed. He has schools, e-blocks to show for it. He has hospitals to show for it. He has roads to show for it. What have we to get from you? Absolutely nothing. Apart from the fact that you and I will wake up and hear that GCB has doled out 22.7 billion to the president's daughters. Then you will wake up again and hear that GMPC has given some monies to the Rebecca Foundation. The next day you hear that we have paid a whopping 15 billion cedis as electricity bills to PDS. We still do not know who those people are, and we have lost 15 billion. So what is there to show?
You don't know who is behind PDS?
We are still in this
country. It's a publicly listed company. The shareholders are known.
So what is happening? So the 15 billion as of now, from March to October, we still do not know who is holding that money. Because they took money. They took 15 billion of you and our electricity bills.
Those monies were not invested, especially in paying the legacy debt.
Which legacy debt? Why did we have ESLA? ESLA, which was even a sunset clause, for which they were in opposition and even criticized it. And one expected that when they took over on 7th of January, on the 8th of January, they should go into Parliament and immediately make sure that they scrap it off. No, they have rather even increased this government. And now what they are doing is that they are doing more borrowing.
If I may, Mr. Kotoko, this government argues that they've doubled our GDP growth rate from what Mr. Tekpe left behind.
Where is the GDP? What? You see, where we are currently...
I told you that's not ignorance, so you should be abreast with this fact that
so that's what you
handed a $55 billion economy to the new party.
When you say 55 billion economy, what are you talking about? Are you talking about gross international reserves or what?
That's our GDP.
That was the size of the GDP.
I say economy.
Now, good. Now, where are we today? The number one excuse they keep telling you and I, as though we do not understand what this means, is that they are saying that they are doing more borrowing, and more of this is as a result of what? COVID-19. You had borrowed over 90% of the monies we are talking of before even COVID came. What did you even use the COVID funds for, which you are not even accounting for anyways? Now, while we are saying, Dr. Baumia said that Ghana is a highly indebted lower middle income country. At the time, we're at 67% of GDP. Where are we today? We are told we are at 68 and projected to be at what? 76.7. Now, at that point, don't you and I agree that the conditions prevalent today makes it more fertile for everybody to be convinced that we are more hippie today than we were even yesterday or even in 2000? So what exactly have you done? Because you see, we are not only now a highly indebted lower middle income country, we are a pathetically highly indebted lower middle country under this current dispensation. So they should tell us why we are now at 62.
You've asked a lot of questions. Let's allow Frank to come in.
I will be that calm, not call ignorant. I would say you just don't know what you are talking about.
You said
free education is not just about paying school fees for pupils to go to school. Free education encompasses bigger projects such as building about 12-unit school blocks. In fact, let me put this on record. This is the first time in the history of Ghana that every secondary school that this country have is seeing monumental developmental project in every school. I was in Angologa and Keta with the president on, I think, 7th August, when the president have to try to commission programs just in the Keta and the Angologa constituencies. There were so many projects to the extent that the president, just because of for lack of time, he has to just go to the Keta Secondary School and commission a 12-unit classroom block, which is also one of the programs under the free SHS program. In fact, the free SHS buildings, you and I know that we have an infrastructure deficit in all our schools. So there is a program to make sure that we uplift the infrastructure in all the secondary schools. And he knows that we use the HIPIC, we use the GET fund, let me say, monies that will accrue to GET fund to be able to access facilities to do all of this. So if Eric Elikem did not know this, then you and I know that he is more ignorant than I am on the program.
You have used GET fund to go and take a loan.
We are talking about borrowing. We are talking about borrowing.
So he was answering your question about borrowing to fund free SHS.
We are not using any money we borrow, any money to invest in the free SHS. I'm saying the free SHS is not about paying school fees for students to go to school. We are doing more than that. We are building infrastructure. We are expanding access to all our schools, and all these things fall under the free SHS program. And if you tell me on the program that I'm ignorant, then you should be ashamed and tell the viewers that you are sorry for calling me an ignorant person on the program. I'm not here to attack you. I'm here to attack policies. So I have no qualms with you at all. But you have demonstrated beyond everything on the show that
let's move from the issue, Frank.
More ignorant than you in Parliament. Mr. Mahama told us that every borrowing that the state do under the 1990 Constitution, you cannot go in a contract loan without Parliament okaying you as a government to go and borrow. So whatever money that we have borrowed is on the parliamentary records. The Hansard have it. Tell us that we borrowed money for this program and you go and look for the program, you did not find it. That's what you should be doing. We have borrowed to open access to our economy. There is a planting for food and job. Planting for food and job is being funded from this borrowing. You come back to say that I'm ignorant, and I'll expose you.
Let's leave off that.
Yeah, he said like that.
Let's leave off that.
That's an attack on my credibility. So
you know what? Let me be fair to you.
All the borrowing the government have contracted. It's a matter of public record.
Give me a moment. Let me be fair to you. Elikem, it's so obvious that Frank takes offense to that statement. I'd like that you render an apology to him.
No, I am so sorry. I will not do that because he made you and I know that they borrowed to fund free SHS, which was not possible. What has he proven to you? Where? For instance, he made reference to the fact that when you go to Parliament, there is evidence, and I even told you that, okay, you have even collateralized GET fund to take loans, to It doesn't mean you are taking money to support education.
Okay.
What are you using that money for? Now, when you are asking,
give me a moment, Elikem. Frank, give me a moment. I'm going to make a definite statement on this one, and that is it. Free SHS has 3 plans. It's called Access, Quality, and Equity.
Yes.
As part of access, infrastructure building is part of it.
Thank you.
As part of providing access, he raised the point earlier that when we collateralized Get Fund, that was borrowing to support the program. It proves that.
Is that evident anywhere that they borrowed that money to build or expand any infrastructure anywhere? No. Absolutely none. Mention this one for me.
I just told you that. Okay, he said don't worry. I thought that even the president commissioned a 12-unit classroom block.
And so
is it not access to?
And you commissioned that because
no, it's just
what was the source of fact that
what was the source of what was the source ignorant when you don't
what was the source of
I'm here to attack your Mohammed.
What was the source?
So you put your hand was they put another. The record is speaking for itself.
What was the source of funding for that, Daniel? You see, it is the reason why when you ask them one simple question, then they want to be pussyfooted, because we say, look, okay, President Mahama from wherever borrowed 56 billion, he's got this and that to show for it. For instance, let me ask you, President Mahama, who tried putting up 200 e-blocks and succeeded at 46 before leaving office and others at various stages, you call that mediocre. President Mahama, who tried to build the hospitals and do the roads, our water systems and all that, you call that incompetence. Now you who is now building toilets, putting them on trackers, you are saying that is called competence, and that is an achievement. We are saying that you have borrowed 258. So far, 138 billion.
For the discussion.
138 billion.
No,
138 billion. What have you to show for it? I do not need a soothsayer to lead me on to tell me, hey, they've got this or that. I need to see it. Now you are again saying that the economy is expanded, is doing that. Don't forget the president, when he went to London sometime last year or so, made us believe that we are in hard times. He has not come out yet to even tell us we are now out of the woods. And you are the same people with Ken Oforiatta going begging that you should forget our debts. Then they have their representative tell you and I that the economy is buoyant, it's working well. A buoyant economy that could not survive 3 weeks of lockdown.
Elikem, thank you. You made that point. So I think the summary of what he's saying is that you've not done a good job in managing the economy, Frank. So let's take
the people of Ghana themselves will attest to the fact that there is no better manager of our economy than the current government, who have done so much. He's saying that we don't. I can continue listing projects that the president has commissioned for the past 3 months now, and even the water, because you and I believe that you are early, therefore you are from water region. And you know about the water project, the $3.7 million water project in Amejope.
I can even help you with one. One is the
you are saying that we say we have borrowed so much that we don't do anything.
Ultra modern street light in Bolga.
You guys continue to inform the people of Ghana that even the rich hospital was constructed by Mahama. That's the rich hospital. You now know that it preceded even you at our bed. So where from he constructing it?
You saw the
Ghana East hospital that started under John Ajapun Kufuor's government.
Which one is the Ghana East? Dodoa?
No, that is the one behind when you're going to Ashoma and say Kwabenya.
The COVID-19
facility. Mahama never started, he never completed it.
But the question is about your work.
Yes, the question is that government, I believe that government is continuous. And another have taken upon himself when Mahama was recklessly cutting sword and have no funding anything.
Let me ask you a question away from infrastructure. We are spending 10 billion next year to service loans. Where are we going to find the money?
No fiscal space.
When we came to this, did we know where we are going to find money to fund our projects till now?
Now explains why the president didn't know how we were going to fund
creative finance management. We are able to find fiscal space and then be able to contract loans and then also raise internal revenues to do our project. And I believe that in the competency of Dr. Mahmoud Babian and the Minister of Finance, that there is no way that next year we are not going to fund our project to the extent that our country will collapse. Our economy that
we are using 1.5 billion in capital expenditure, but we are borrowing another 5 billion in a Eurobond in the first 3 months of the year. Won't you say that that's a departure from the commitments to infrastructure development?
Well, I don't know about departure from infrastructure development. I don't know. I believe that I have so much confidence in the leadership of our party and economic management team to the extent that what I saw in 2016 and what I saw in 2017 to date tells me that
they are in Home Affairs. They understand the structure of our economy. They understand the basic factors underlying our economy, and they know what they are about. And when they say they want to do A, B, C, D, next 4 years we'll be here again and be discussing the same matter, and the country will not be collapsing because it is in the hands of a competent.
But I wish you could answer that question directly in telling us that if you are spending so little in capital expenditure, governments that you have so espoused the record of the infrastructure development that has gone on, aren't you walking away from your own work that you've done?
Well, I think that I have given you answer to this particular question. I am no finance person, so I do not think that I have so much competence to speak to issue of that sort. But we have competent people like Dr. Mahmoud Bahame, Vice President, the leader of economic management team, who will not just sit up and when they wake up that we are doing ABCD, they might have thought out through one or two things. And I believe that his competency is not in doubt because in 2016, we know where the economy was, and he was able to fine-tune the economic base and able to bring able to create the fiscal space for the government to be able to look for fund and then finance each project within the microeconomy. So we don't know how I will sit here and be saying
it's in the record. It's about the record.
The first thing that made room for them to do this very reckless borrowing that we are witnessing today is as a result of the fact that they had rebased the economy. That created room for them to do more borrowing. And which is the reason why we now find ourselves in this quagmire, where there's no fiscal space.
Isn't it because the economy grew? That's why we could rebase it.
It grew because
it was larger.
But so once you are rebasing, you expect that there should be that room for borrowing, which allows you to want to.
That the rebasing is because it grew.
There must be
the economy grew.
But you see, at what point did they do the rebasing? They had just taken power. How many?
2018.
Yes, just 2 years from the NDC. Now let me just conclude with something over here. If running an economy was all about borrowing your way into an unsustainable debt hole, then any half-wit could be president. 10:35 p.m. on the 14th of September 2015. That was the nephew of the president, Gabi Ochedako, who is one of the big shots.
Yes, he's not a
government official. But you see, I just want people to know the things Gabi said even those days. This is what he said. Now, they are looking at 27.4 billion. When asked how they were going to get it, we were made to know that they were expecting revenue, for instance, of 13 billion. But this is a government that has never met its revenue targets since it came into power. It has never met its revenue targets.
It met its revenue targets. GRE met its revenue targets in 2019 under Prof. Stephen Ade.
No,
well, I can fact check that for you. But GRE met its revenue targets.
So if they have not, and already they are even looking at getting 13 billion through that, it should already tell you that, look, we are looking at about 10 billion that they may get. Then the rest will have to still again be through Euro bonds or whatever bonds, Ken bond or whatever, more borrowing. They are leaving absolutely no space. Now, my submission to my brother is that, look, when we went to HIPIC, we were at what? We were at 61% in 2000 or 2001 thereabout, when President Akufo took us into HIPIC. Where are we today? I just read even to you something that President, how do you call him? Then candidate Baumia also said, running mate for the opposition then also said. So if now from 61, we are now at 68, projected to be at 76.7 by December. Now, it even tells you that even our borrowing, which stands at 258 billion, is likely to reach about 285 billion by the time
wrap up for me on this point. We need to end.
This is most unfortunate and unacceptable. Ghanaians want to know, you have borrowed so much. What have you done apart from appointing family and friends to the extent of even your concubines? This is worrying because are these the only competent people in government? The rest are the ones who come on stage. Finally, you know what worries me, Daniel? I was walking the streets recently and I saw a lady holding a placard on which they wrote that we have created 2 million jobs. This lady I have spotted at 3 different locations. If your government has created 2 million jobs, would they have put you in the scorching sun from 10 o'clock to 4 p.m. holding a placard saying that we have created 2 million jobs?
Interesting. Thank you very much, Elike Kotoko, for joining us. You have 30 seconds to wrap up the discussion for us, Frank.
Let me start from the last point. I think that this is a very big platform, and it's not a platform we come and do propaganda. The fact that people are campaigning for their political party to win elections does not mean that they are unemployed. So if somebody say, my government has created 2 million jobs, you cannot say that person winning a placard is not having a job, that's why he's there. Then we have to say that most of all the people who are backing on the NDC platform are not into any gainful employment. That's how come they want to take over, and we cannot give power to those who don't know what they are doing. You created the impression that whatever Gabi said is the position of a government. You see, when I come on a platform like this, the things I say may be a position of government, even that what Gabi may put on this thing. So that we need to segregate and separate the issue of personal, what is people's view from what the party's view has been. Our government and our party has never said anywhere that the borrowing will be things for the past. We believe that a country such as ours will borrow. Even United States, Germany, Japan, and most of the economy that we are emulating are also in huge debt. It does not make the economy come down. What matters is there are things that a country should be able to do for its people. Like government should be able to do. Of course, if the toilet is what the
allow him to finish.
If toilet is what the people need,
right?
If the toilet is what the people need, you cannot delete it. The president for the past 2 months has been doing regional tour, constituency tour, district tour, and everywhere he goes, the people are happy that they have seen their economic life, their standard of living has moved exponentially.
How much is
you cannot say that
I need to wrap up this show.
The voters know who has given them much in terms of governance, in terms of
how much is the dollar to the city?
Showing leadership.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Showing leadership in terms of crises such as COVID-19, all these things, the people who know who is so compassionate, care about the very thing that affect their life.
Okay, Frank.
Mr. Mahama,
thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elikem Kotoko. Thank you very much, Frank Selo Masari. I'm going to end with your messages. Walanyo and Akwetia says, Daniel, NDC has fallen flat when it comes to borrowing. I was not in this country in 2016 when President JM told us that the meat is down to the bone for his government NDC to run to IMF for policy credibility. Yes, MPP borrows to spend on its citizenry, which are available to show for. Some we have used to clear off energy sector debt and the debt at Ghana Commercial Bank, and it goes on there. Okay, I don't want to read any of the messages directed at my guests. I remember I watched President Nanado say Ghana does not need to borrow. Can you show us that video, please? Obiba from UCC, from where specifically? I wish you would direct me to that place. We have to wrap up the show at this point. This has been Joint Caucus. My name is Daniel Dazi. I was here with Elikem Kotoko and Frank Selom. Sorry, which part of the world are you from?
I'm from Ho, Zavi. Precisely, I was born and bred in Ho.
Ho in Ziavi?
No, Zavi is my town, but I was born and bred in Ho.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and Ho, Zavi is about 2 minutes drive away from Ho.
Interesting.
So if you stand in Ho, you'll be seeing my village.
So this is the eastern edition of Joint Caucus. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great weekend.